Good morning, Bears. What is happening? Thank you so much for bearing with me through the technical issues today. How's that too much different from any other day, right? It's great to see everybody today. And it's great to be seen. Just saw Dom's comment now. Yeah, I missed the opportunity. That's all right, though. This is a worthwhile subject, not about your typical strong woman, right? Funny though that is. Boy, that would be, maybe later in post I'll go back and I'll change that. That might be fun, just for the heck of it. Or put a hashtag woman, could be fun. But excuse me. That's been a subject, strong women, in recent past. And it occurred to me that a true strong woman, one that I've loved and appreciated and respected for a long, long time, since I was very young. One in particular, my grandmother. Her name is Bonita. And but she's always been Grandma Bonnie for many, many, many years. Or Grandma Cookie has been another favorite nickname for her by a lot of us. And as I've been saying in the description here, if you read that, yeah, she has fallen on some being under the weather more recently within the last several years. She's probably one of the toughest ladies I've ever met in my entire life. And I wanted to share some things about her. By some manner of honoring her a little bit, because if anybody deserves it, she certainly does. So, yeah, hopefully get a chance to spend some time with her later tonight. My dad's up from Texas, and he's there helping out, trying to help her take care of some things she needs to. And so, yeah, well, my boys and I will go down and visit with her for a little bit tonight. My boys might even be watching right now, so they may know about that. So, guys, if you are watching, yeah, that's what we're doing tonight. We're going to go spend some time with Papa Dana and Grandma Bonnie for a little bit. Should be a good time. And I think she'll really enjoy seeing the kids. She always does. But sadly, I don't make a point of going down there that often, as much as I should. I think we get so many other things that we're doing so much of the time, and it's definitely worthwhile to make time for these kind of things and honor and appreciate those that have come before us and sort of paved the path. But, excuse me, I'll get to all that. Just wanted to chat with Bears for a minute. I have a bunch of pictures that I haven't loaded into OBS yet, and I thought, this morning, I should do this, but I'll do it a little bit at a time. What things I can add here and there. Grandmas are the bomb. Kick ya, you know it. Hey, old bear, what's happening? Glad to have you here today. We got a bunch of folks up in here. It's always good. Always thankful for that. Ooh, yeah, the voice is nice and deep this morning. I'm feeling that. But I'm enjoying things from my ugliest of mugs. The musical shekel hoarder himself. I might share an image with you. See, I wasn't told that this was off limits. So, Steve, if you're in here, I might share just an image that you were so kind to include. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. I see how it is. I'm not gonna put too much information out. You got no sleep. Who called who, sir? Who called who? That's hilarious. Hang on, I gotta bring this up. This is priceless. And share with you. All right, so I'm just gonna make this real simple. I'm gonna bring this up in OBS and I'm gonna share a little picture with you. Let's see if it'll allow me to do that. Image? No, just go to window capture. That's faster. So let's see. Mr. Steve, as some of you may know, is a bit of he's a bit of a musician. He's done some musical things in his day. And the way people record these days, if you've ever been in an actual recording studio or seen pictures of a real recording studio and, professional scenes, or even home recording studios that people put together, they're interesting little things. But let's take a little trip back in time, shall we? And take a little look at what they used to be like. This was the creation station of our good Steve Pinder back in the day, and he had it all rocking here. I mean, he had, let's take a look here. Got this this whole mixing desk up here. It's got an electronic drum module. I think it's an Oasis, he said. And the keyboard, of course. And he said this is only half the studio. There's a whole bunch of stuff on the other side of the room in this at this time. And of course, you have to have your Lightning Jack poster up on the wall off to the side there. But this is my favorite. This tiny monitored little Mac, whatever it is, or some kind of computer that was the basis for recording and doing a lot of the stuff he was doing, like to get a lot of this stuff linked together. Sequencing stuff, I think, was involved with there. Nice little keyboard way down here. Kind of funny. I thought this was priceless. I thought it was great. So yeah, I thought I'd embarrass Steve just a little bit by sharing that. I won't go any further though. I mean, there's other stuff that I could tell you about Steve that I'm just not going to do that. Not going to do today. So, oh, a Mac Plus. Okay, so I didn't see the chat for a little bit while I was over doing that. So that's funny. That's what that was. Yeah. No, Andrew J. No nudes. It's not a nude Steve Pinder. Let's see here. Well, yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Let's say back in the day, there were certain things created in that room that I'll not speak of because I promised, But that said, I have created music in my past, or I've been involved with the creation of certain music that I look back on and I'm like, I did that? Really? Yeah, you guys are never going to hear any of that. Oh, Dom, enough there. Did I say that? Did I say that at all? No. Andrew J. made a comment a minute ago. He said, please no nudes, and I responded to that. But no, that's not the type of music that I'm talking about. It's not images of that nature. Nothing like that. Let me clear the air right now so nobody's confused. Bears, I'm telling you. When I tell people to come watch my show, I often tell them don't look in the chat. Most of the people I know would blush at just a quarter of what goes on in here. It's pretty funny. But then I allow people to say what they want in here for a large part. That said, if you are in here, I do hope that some people will follow a little bit of decorum. Say what you want to say. Go and say this stuff. But at the same time, no spamming, no incessant messaging of all varieties, and try to link relatively close to what's going on today. But hopefully we avoid too high a level of hyperbole ad infinitum. Let's minimize that. Now, Dom's a different story. Dom, I do permit some degrees of spammage, usually because he does it in support of me, so his spammings are considered reasonable, right? If you want to do proper spamming within the chat, you have to follow the Dom model, right? But oh, thank you, Kikia. Thank you for posting that. That's very kind. Uh-oh, we're getting some low video output. If you're seeing me, great. If you're not, I don't know why. Connection seems low from my end. Let me know if you can't see all of a sudden. Because it says that things are red, and it shouldn't be. That's just not right. Oh, good. Okay, well, as long as you're seeing me, that's kind of the important thing. As long as you're hearing what the heck's going on. I noticed my my video, at least when I look at my video in the YouTube window, that's always stilted and slower. And then when I watch the playback, it's not nearly as bad, right? When I watch it, once it's fully uploaded and everything, things seem a little smoother. In fact, often a lot smoother. But when I'm watching it from the OBS preview window, it seems really like stilted. I don't know if that's the word I want. Funky do, whatever the heck it might be. But it's good. Hey, I have a computer and I'm able to live stream on YouTube, so I'm grateful for that. And I'll continue to improve it as I am able over the months and years. I see you're in need of the greatest mug ever made, the Freedom Tuff mug. Well, if you look in the description, Dom, I did add you to Bear Support. I kind of traded you out with Field of Bears for a little bit. Field of Bears has had some time in there. Kodiak's still up in there, of course. And if you're all really paying attention, you'll notice that a t-shirt that helps you prove you're non-communist is once again available from bonfire.com/don't-c-red-love-chunk. I've wanted to say that for a while because it's fun. Yes, this wonderful, wonderful shirt is back available. I wasn't actually able to change the colors. It's still going to be the same colors. So, you know, many of you bought the red, and that's great. Those of you that were looking to get one from the last go-around and didn't get a chance to do that or weren't able at that time, here we are. We're ready to rock. If it's not available to you, do me a favor. Put a link, put a picture, put a whatever, put a GIF, anything you like. A picture of you wearing yours if you already bought one last time. Share it on Twitter. Share it on Instagram. Share it on all kinds of places because the networks of people you know are greater than the ones I know, and you never know. And we will, at the very least, bring more people into this hashtag not a mini cult, right? Since mine started off the other hashtag not a cult. Or I was inspired to start because of that. All right. Excuse me. Yeah, I've got the sniffs going on today. It's happening a bit. But we'll see what we can do to positively impact that. You know, I had an idea late last night, and I really want to take some time and work this out because I think it would be so funny. But I had another comedic idea to do as a commercial in here. And I should have written some of it down because it's already starting to fade from my mind. But there was a video, a song, or so. Oh, it was a Ray Stevens clip from years and years ago, and I thought, excuse me, that we could do something really fun with that. Yeah, there's something coming out of that. I have no doubt. So look for a Ray Stevens inspired bit coming your way eventually. If I can work it out, it should be a lot of fun. I speak of Ray Stevens because it was on my mind thanks to Grandma Bonnie. Grandma Bonnie, of all people, introduced me to Ray Stevens. And some of you might be familiar with tunes of his like The Streak. My grandmother, not the kind of person you would expect that would have an interest in such things, but she thought Ray Stevens is one of the biggest crack ups of all time, and he certainly is. He's certainly got the musical comedy thing down, you know. So yeah, she was a fan, and she insisted on sharing that with me when I was a kid. She had the tape, she had the VHS, and she brought that over several times. So funny, collection of all these different ones, like Surfin' USSR was another one of my favorites. Boy, that would be I'm trying to think. Oh, was your grandma doing that stuff too? Kick yeah. She's like, must be an Illinois grandma thing. That's hilarious. No, what, Dom Tuff's also a Jew? Is that what you're saying? Guys are cracking me up. Dom equals fake Jew. Well, let's see him grow a nice beard, and let's see a few shekels. You know, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe. Real Jew confirmed. Really? Do you have the 23andMe? Did it tell you? You've got some. I'm assuming you're some Ashkenazi. You've got some Ashkenazi Jew background in you. That's my guess, Dom. I would suspect that. I wouldn't think Sephardic like Steve. And for those of you that don't know, the Ashkenazi, I can't even say it at the time. The Ashkenazi Jews inhabited more of the European area, as some of their heritage spread abroad. The Sephardic Jews went more down into Spain and even somewhat further deep into Africa. So there's more of that tradition down that way. Interesting. Definitely interesting. Different traditions amongst the backgrounds there. What's this? Coming soon to a mailbox near me. Nice. Too funny. Well, if they're cheap, that's why they have money, Dom. Saving. Well, you know, I think the Scots probably have the Jews beat. The Scots are more well known for being far cheaper in a lot of regards. My grandma Bonnie has a bit of the Scotch background in her, and she is one of the thriftiest people I've ever met. My grandmother saves Cool Whip containers or other Tupperware containers and never needs to buy separate Tupperware, very rarely, if at all, and uses that stuff judiciously. She's very smart. She's learned a lot of interesting tricks over the years on how to be frugal. When I was a kid, we'd go down to Arkansas when my Grandpa Ralph, my Grandma Bonnie lived there in the Bella Vista area. And that was always one of my favorite places to go. They lived in this little subdivision in the woods, and they lived at the end of a drive called Finger Circle Drive. It was actually kind of neat because we would come up into this subdivision. It was kind of up on a hill. It was elevated up in the woods, up on a hill. And we get up into this subdivision, and then we turn on this one street and then take another turn and get on to Finger Drive. And then we get to the end of this Finger Drive, and it made a circle at the end of it. It was a dead end street, but it wasn't really a dead end. It was like there's one street that went back down a certain area and then went down a hill and kind of back up to create this circle that was at the end of it. And that's why they called it Finger Circle Drive. Like if you imagine a finger with a little circle on the end of it, that's what they were trying to suggest there. Not difficult. Let's see here. So, excuse me. I'm thinking. Okay, so what we would love to do is, you know, even if we got there later at night, you know, they usually wouldn't let us do it if it was too late at night. But if we got to their place during the daytime, Mom and Dad would usually let my brother Ben and I get out the car, and they'd stop right at the top of the circle part of their drive, of their street, I should say, and then run downhill to their driveway. It was like the second house or whatever along the street. And then we'd run up their big long drive up to their house. And that was always a blast. They had sliding glass doors, you know, at the front side of the house, and they could see us coming, you know, easily. And they also had this deck that wrapped around the front side of the house and one of the other sides as well. We looked forward to going there because it was just a neat place to be going on vacation to visit Grandma and Grandpa. My grandfather would be out plenty of times chopping wood, you know, and keeping wood for they had a wood burning stove right there in the living room for years. And, you know, throughout his life, and they were all retired age at this point in time when we'd go visit when I was a kid. But Grandpa was always doing plenty of work, you know, in his 60s, 70s. Shoot, he'd even up into his 80s, he'd still be out in the yard doing work. And Grandma would be in the house supporting him, you know, keeping that house running efficiently. She would have, she still has this Lazy Susan thing that has like pie sliced containers to put cereal in. And she would had a variety of different things for us to eat. Nothing super sugary usually. But then she would have little mini marshmallows, and she'd keep them in the freezer so they'd be nice and cold. And she'd let us sprinkle some of those in our cereal. And I'm like, that was the best. To this day, if we ever get mini marshmallows once in a while, I'm definitely going to sprinkle them in cereal. It's awesome. But yeah, that'll turn Frosted Flakes into not Frosted. What am I trying to say? It'll turn regular brand flakes or corn flakes into something way better, way more palatable. But she would do cool little things like that, or she had this set of windows, or a sliding window or whatever, that was right above the kitchen sink. Oh, thanks, Kodiak. I'm certainly trying. I'm reducing the ums to some degree. She would have this sliding window above the sink, and on the outside it'd be in the carport that they had attached to the house, and I'd go out there and pretend I was a salesman and try to sell her various kinds of ice cream or other types of things through the window, and pretend to go get my supply out of my vehicle or something like that and bring it to her. So I was a traveling salesman that had come to the window, and she was always a blast to play games with. She would have all kinds of different unique things that she'd come up with for us to do. She even would do cool little things, like when we're driving somewhere, we're in the car with her, she'd have these little tiny mints, like the tiniest little Retsin type mints you've ever seen. Super little. And they're extremely powerful. This is like pre-Altoid, Well, maybe Altoids is around, but it wasn't popular like it has been in the last 10 to 15 years or whatever. Maybe it's longer than that. But they're tiny, tiny little bead-sized mints. And so she'd offer us one at some point, in a lengthy car ride. So all these little things where she was prepared to serve people, prepared to just make their time more enjoyable. And then around Christmas time when we'd visit them, she used to be just never outdone, not even remotely outdone, with her arsenal of cookies. She had every cookie under the sun you could imagine. I mean, it was just, for a week or more, she'd be baking, like, continually throughout the day, going nuts on cookies. She'd have tons of different varieties. Excuse me, like, I think she did peanut butter cookies at one point. She had this one, it was called a snickerdoodle, that she used to do a lot. She had another one she called cherry icebox cookies. All of these were just unique. Oh, her molasses crinkles, those were some of my favorite. Those were fantastic. And she just was so excited to be able to do these kinds of things and serve us in some different ways. Now, as she's gotten older, my grandpa as well, they moved back from Arkansas to Illinois and settled around these parts for, oh goodness, I think it was early 2000s when they came back around these areas. Tom. Well, it's memories, man. It's memories. Like, I've got a little milk right here, but no cookie. It's like, it would be great, but she's had to set that down in more recent times. It's just like, it's too much for her to try and keep up doing things like that. And I'm glad. I don't want her to spend too much more time doing that. Oh, I'm not even going to respond to that, Dom. Killing me, dude. Yeah, kick ya. I think there was actually from Grandma Bonnie some oatmeal or chocolate chip. Well, there's definitely chocolate chip. That's a requirement, and hers were unbelievable. But yeah, there were definitely oatmeal raisin, possibly oatmeal chocolate chip as well, if I recall. But they eventually moved back to Illinois. Excuse me. And for a little while, they were living in an apartment. And not long after, they got a house in Lincoln and lived at that place, goodness, until I think my grandpa passed in 2007. I can remember I was deployed to Iraq at that time with the band. And I remember getting the email. It was like September 15th. It was the day when I almost had a chance to meet Chuck Norris. He was at this little patrol base, going around doing meet and greets with people there, and we were getting ready to go from the main base in that area and go to this little patrol base site. And we were told we were going to meet up with him because a buddy of mine and I had created this mockumentary about the whole Chuck Norris true facts phenomenon. In our spare time, we just did something for fun. And this first sergeant or whatever that was in charge of making sure we were taken care of there and attending to Mr. Norris while he was out there doing his meet and greet stuff, he was going to make sure that we had a chance to meet him and show him our movie. That was his plan. And we were a little like excited and disturbed at the same time. I was like, do we really want Chuck Norris to see this? It's not good. It was purely moronical, and I didn't know what his attitude toward it would have been. But yeah, we got to that patrol base. We actually missed Chuck by about 5 minutes. He actually had to leave 5 minutes before we actually got there, my buddy and I. It was a little funny. But we were hanging around there. We had a show to play later that night. And so I was in one of the little internet cafes that they had set up for some of us out there. And I'd gotten that email, I think, from my my now ex-wife. She had sent me something that, yeah, he had passed away the night before. So the funeral had happened, and there was no way I was going to be able to come home for that. Thankfully, my brother had been there. Both my brothers and my sister had been able to get out to that. And you know, he got appropriate military honors, as he should, because he served during World War II. He was a tough man, honest man, throughout his life. Great example that I always looked up to. I keep his photo up here in my studio space all the time. But Grandma was alongside him throughout all that. See, I think in his early 80s, he'd developed colon cancer and then beat it. Like, it went into remission. Now, his health was diminished from dealing with that to some degree, but still went strong for another 4 years, you know, with some issues here and there. But she was beside him throughout everything. And of course, I mean, it's not like there was ever any question about that. She was just right there by his side through everything, continuing in her habits, continuing in the things that she'd been doing, you know, throughout their marriage. And I'd always been impressed by that. Like, I never really thought about it as much when I was a kid, but it just stuck in my mind that there was a consistency in her behavior all the time. There was always a consistency in what you could expect from her. Even after Grandpa passed, she ended up moving back into town, into the little small town where a lot of my family's from, and just had a small place there, a 2-bedroom little apartment there. And, excuse me, she still carried on in a lot of her routines. She was always good about sending people letters on their birthdays, you know, and writing them about just different things that had been going on. A very, very recognizable writing style. She would read often and educate herself on different things. She knew I had an interest in Hebrew, you know, and wanting to understand the Hebraic background of the Bible. And she would send me different articles that she had found related to that in some different ways. Always amazing. She had given me some clothing that used to belong to Grandpa. You know, I still have the vest from this and the pants as well. I don't know what happened to the suit coat. I don't know if I was able to fit into that, but it might have been because my grandpa was a couple inches taller than me. But I did have the suit that one of these suits that he had worn for many years. That was a favorite of his. The vest part of that suit is still one of my favorites. I can't exactly fit into it right now. I'm a little big for it, but I intend to get back to a size where I comfortably fit into that vest. She remained a consistent figure, you know, throughout my life. And then when I separated from my ex-wife, she took me in, and I stayed with her for about a month and a half when that happened back in 2012. And I was still having to work third shift, you know, and such at the air base. Not long after that, I ended up going to days, thankfully, but for a while I was on thirds, and then they gave me the option to move to day shift. And that was a pretty big blessing at that time. And I'd go and do my gig, and I'd come home, and Grandma would have dinner ready. You know, that was fantastic. I'd probably stay in town a little bit sometimes because I was trying to go to school and do some things there. Trying to get some part-time classes, something going on that could help me move forward in life. I'd been attacking some part-time classes off and on, but I was going to go ahead and get in some more there. And so I'd go, one of the classes I did was go to the gym up there. So sometimes I'd spend some time going to the gymnasium and getting work done. But yeah, I'd come home sometimes 7 or 8 in the evening, and she'd still have dinner ready to rock for me. You know, I gained 20 pounds. I was like, actually it was between 20 and 25 pounds, I think. I was like 165 pounds soaking wet when my ex and I had separated back in 2012. And within a month, I was up 25 pounds because I was eating Grandma's cooking. She did love having me there. She really enjoyed that time. We talked about a lot of different things. Mind you, she was in her late 80s at this time. This was almost 7 years ago. So, yeah, 88, I think, going on 89 pretty quick. And, yeah, she was still just consistently there, you know, taking care of stuff and being encouraging, you know, and opened her home to me for that time. Now, eventually I got into a rental home in the area nearby, but I made sure to come by and visit and see how she was doing as often as I could. Sadly, since I've had to move away from there, I haven't been back near as often as I wish I could. And I've thought about that more recently. It's like, well, boy, anytime I get a chance, I need to pop down there and see how she's been. But I'm only scratching the surface. I'm only so far sharing a few different little bits and pieces that I remember about her because there's so many great memories. It's hard to pick through them all. But that's the main thing. Like, this woman has lived through so many different things that I can't even conceive of. And she has consistently had an attitude of service to others. She's never wanted to put anybody else out. She's been frugal as more than I can imagine, you know, in different ways. She's just very smart, very, you probably wouldn't guess it, but she has one of the most developed minds I've ever met. I've ever seen. I'm phrasing that wrong. Unlike mine, because I can't freeze things properly. No, she just was so attentive. She still is so very attentive to different things going on in everybody else's life. You know, consistently tries to keep up with her sister, who doesn't live too far away, and her husband. And one of her 3 brothers. I think one who has passed now, my Uncle Bruce, who I remember going to the funeral only about a year or so ago. But Uncle Bob, his brother, they still try to keep up with him fairly regularly. He lives about 45 minutes away or so, and yeah, she still tries to keep in the loop with all these different people. I was just over there like a week or so ago, and my dad's sister, Rilla, who lives in Texas, who's a great author, by the way. I was going to mention this. This is kind of offside, but this is kind of people she raised. My Aunt Rilla wrote a book. If you can find it, I don't know if it's still in print or not, but Law Offices, Robin Deutsch Speaking is a book she wrote several years ago. And it was just a little cute, you know, young adult fiction story that she decided to publish. She's an interesting character. Very kind lady. And married to a lawyer, of all people. Who's a great guy, my Uncle David. Hadn't seen him in years and got a chance to chat with him recently, too. He's a really good guy. But, yeah, check her book out if it's out there on Amazon still. I don't know where she had it printed, but maybe we can see about getting it back in print one of these days. Publishamerica.com is what it says on the book. So it might be available at that website, publishamerica.com. And it's cute. She has an interesting style. But, yeah, they were up recently, and Grandma Bonnie was hosting them, you know, and she's still walking around in a walker, with a walker, you know. My grandmother has beat some degree of cancer in recent years. And she's beaten other ailments that have hit her. It's like you almost wouldn't know half the time. She's still up. She's still up and about getting things done. You know, just like I said, she's crushing. She just gets stuff done. And that blows my mind. Massively impressed by who she is and what she is capable of. Her example is something that I'm very grateful for, because I don't think that I've inherited as many of those traits naturally. I have to work at them. But that's the thing. She did too. She's constantly had to work at it. I think the cultural elements that she was around growing up probably fostered a lot more of that than some of the cultural elements today do. So it's much more in our hands, I think, than it ever before, to just get stuff done, you know, to crush, to accomplish, to succeed. So let's see here. Hang on a second. I just realized I need to do something. There we go. So, yeah, we're gonna go spend some time with her this evening, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm kind of excited that the boys will get to spend some time with her, and hopefully the younger kids, if she's up for it tomorrow night, I'd love to have them go down and see her too. But anytime that they've come over, anytime my children have come by, she knows how to make that time like all about those kids. She knows how to just give you her full focus on stuff as much as she's able. And she loves to hear about what's going on with you. She loves to talk with you about stuff she's been reading. It's always, for me anyway, nearly effortless to be around her. You know, and there can be some degrees of contention, but she doesn't like to be contentious largely. She likes to have peaceful interaction with people largely. She'll set the boundary for you. She has no problem. I remember getting a swat or two when I was younger because I earned it. I was pulling things out of the refrigerator at her home, like, without asking. I'm like, no. You know, you need to learn propriety. You need to learn respect for other people's things. And she had no problem letting me know, you know, but she wasn't nasty about it. She was just, here's the consequence, here's the SWAT, and you move on. And our relationship is not damaged by that. You know, it's like, she doesn't have to yell or scream or anything. It's just transactional. You know, it's just like, this is the consequence you've earned. Oh, yeah. That story's just popped into my head. So if my dad ever watches this, he'll love me sharing this. When my dad was a kid, he had this idea at one point in time that scissors were a fun toy to play with. And he decided that grandma's special, like, nice pillowcases would be a thing to test these scissors out on. And he like cut them into strips, you know, he was trying to make it nice and evened out. And he's a visual artist kind of guy. My dad's been a watercolor painter for, you know what? Hang on. I need to show you this. I need to share it. You've seen it before, but I'm going to share it anyway right now. Because It's kind of awesome. Now, if I can't get it off of the place where I've hung it, I'm going to feel pretty silly. But this is something I'm going to have to share online with some of you in the relatively near future. I hope y'all can still hear me because this is highly professional what I'm doing right now. Okay, I've shown this before, but it has to be shown again, and these as well. These are some of my favorites. All right, so this is some of Dad's work. You know, the watercolor master here, as far as I'm concerned. And this is even just some of the wildlife stuff. I asked him at one point if he could create some paintings, or if he had some older paintings that we could put in the house where I was living in Emden for a while, just to have something in the kids' walls that would kind of brighten their day a little bit. And of course, wolves. You know, they're really magnificent to look at, but I mean, really get a sense of this. Look at the detail. Look at how intense that is. And even the backdrop. I mean, he really gets into the fine details of what he's doing, even if it's, you know, some just a simple painting of some animals. This is one of my favorites. It's a little more cartoony, but I still like it. You know, he did this one back in '06. You know, I like this style. Really cool style. And Dad's been doing this stuff since he was 10. He got a book from the library on painting and watercolor and just delved into it. And I don't think either one of his folks were given to art in this way, at least not that I know of. Here's one. Yeah, his quite a unique approach to him. It may not be unique. I mean, I've always thought of it that way because I don't recall ever having seen art quite like Dad's from anybody else. But things like that covered our walls when I was growing up. That's what I'm so accustomed to. One of these days, I think I'm going to be sharing some more of that. I know that I've got an interview that I'm going to play at some point this week, possibly tomorrow. We'll see if I'm ready to do that yet. But an interview I did with a bear who wants to talk about something that he'd like to see done with artwork. You know, artwork that people keep in their homes, and I'll probably submit some other things, you know, to what he's going to do with that. So some other paintings of Dad's that we've got around the house. But so this is my dad. This is the kind of stuff he does. He's a visual artist guy. So pillow slips. He cut Grandma's pillowcases into strips, right? Grandma thought, well, what's an appropriate consequence for this, right? So she had a large stack, fairly sized stack. I don't know how big you would say, but of newspapers, right? Newspapers. The big full-size stuff, right? So my dad's job was to take that stack, however big it was, and each individual sheet, right? You're not doing it doubled over, none of that business. Each individual sheet, you need to cut that into strips, right? I can imagine that it was almost like a Mr. Miyagi punishment in a way, right? Or something like that, because I guarantee my dad's hands got massively worked out from that. I mean, Dad's always been the kind of guy, he took a lot of aspects from both his parents. He's very service oriented to a lot of people. He's definitely had that characteristic for a long time, in to a fault at times, I think. And he's also very outdoors like his dad was. Constantly have memories of my dad being outdoors, you know, taking care of the land, clearing, like when we moved to Germantown Hills on the east side of the river when I was a kid, when I was like 10 or so. I remember him spending a lot of time outdoors, like cutting down treetops and things and clearing some brush area, because right behind this massive amount of tree growth that we had in our backyard down the hill and such, we had this view of the Illinois River, a beautiful view of the McCluggage Bridge and further on the Murray Baker Bridge that are in town. And that was about 6 miles off from where we were at, and yet we could see it clear as day. And then when we would have fireworks displays on 4th of July, we could see not one, not two, not 3, but like 4 different displays that were in the area from our backyard 6 miles away, and they looked incredible. Like, we don't have to go out and find parking space. We went right to that backyard, and it was unreal. So cool. Yeah, so, and I'm not recommending, if there's children watching, that they do anything like this. But I would occasionally go, what would I do? I'd go up to the bathroom upstairs, and I'd climb out the bathroom window and onto the roof and go sit on the roof of the house and see even better. And I could see a couple other displays that were off near other neighboring towns like Washington. You could have a huge view from there of the different fireworks displays. And a lot of them you could hear pretty decently. The sound waves would hit you. But it was so cool because they'd pop and you wouldn't feel anything for like 2 or 3 seconds, maybe more. Maybe more like 5 or 6, honestly. And that was way cool. That was a neat deal. But yeah, Dad, that was possible because Dad was so diligent. And he got that attitude from his parents, in a large part from his mom. Well, it's like we always joke about this. It's like we have very few memories of seeing Grandma Bonnie sitting down, right? We often wondered if she was able to bend at the waist and sit, because she was constantly working, taking care of people. That's the vision of a strong woman that I've grown up with. That's what I've understood a strong woman to be. She didn't have to have like a career and go out and win money. It's like she was strong in what she did. That household functioned because of her, right? I functioned because of her. I was able to do that because of her when I lived with her. She made it possible for me to focus on other things. It's like, a company. A company will have a boss, right? I'm thinking like, say Crowder. Crowder's a good example. Crowder is the boss of his LLC, or I don't know how it's structured, but he's the boss of that company, and he's got people that work for him, right? You can't have everybody working for that you work for. Everybody can't be the boss or the owner of that. One person is. One person has to lead and take that. But the company functions so much more easily with a Nake Jared or a Quarter Black Garrett or an Edward the Sound Guy or a G Morgan Jr. popping in there, a Courtney running that website. Can they do it? He used to do that, right? He used to do all kinds of things on his own, and he built things to a point where he had enough money to hire a Jared. He said, I can't pay you a lot, but the more that I earn, the more I'll be able to pay you, right? The more we do here, the more I can. And he was faithful to that. And he's talked about it several times. He wishes he could pay his employees more. He's trying to think about ways to do that kind of stuff. And that's been an example to me of a business owner that I've really looked up to and respected. Moomin. Yes. Like, what the heck, man? What the fudge is up with that? That was the furthest thing from my grandmother's mind. Thank the Lord. No, she, read the comments at your own peril. Anybody who's watching this and doesn't know what I'm talking about. She had no issues about who she was. She's always known who she was, right? She's been very clear on that. That's never been an issue. Her identity has never been an issue to her. Doesn't need to be, right? She has more purpose than you could possibly imagine. She has served more purpose to reduce suffering in people's lives more than you can possibly imagine. The impact that she has had on countless lives will be a legacy that continues on, whether her name's attached to it or not. That's not even the point. It's the people that are supported because of it. Now, I will do what I can to make sure that legacy lives on. I will make sure that my kids all know. what person she's been. I'm massively, massively grateful for what she's been in my life. I can't even begin to tell you. And I can definitely say that I've fallen short in so many ways of recognizing and honoring what benefit she's brought to my life so many times. But that's been part of the lesson. That's been part of my growth too, to see that in my own behavior and say, well, I don't want that to continue. I mean, I want to honor what she's done more and more. I want to make sure my kids know, and not just know, but embody that understanding that you honor the people that serve you. You honor the strong women in your life. And it should be a duh. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be like something like, wow, yeah, that's so important. I have to do that. And it was like, well, obviously you do that. Like, duh. Why would it even enter into our minds not to do that? And for many, 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 many different relationships that I've known of people throughout my life, especially people of my grandparents' generation, that's always the way it's been. People who don't do that are the exception. And they're shunned. You're looked on as being stupid. Like, what the heck's wrong with you if a guy's not honoring the woman in his life? Or the ladies that have brought him to the place where he's at, mothers and grandmothers. What's wrong with you if you don't? There's a big problem there. So, honoring women and holding them in high esteem has been the norm in my family's history for a long time. Now, dudes don't always wear their responsibility well, and they may be harsh. They may do things that you look back on and you're like, that was uncool, you know? But I think the influence of the women in their lives definitely tempers that more often than it doesn't. Far more often than it doesn't. I know when I have done something to be inconsiderate to my wife, that she's let me know in a way that it's like almost impossible for me to to argue with or be wrong with. Well, I'll find a way to argue things. I mean, I'm a professional arguer, and she'll tell you. I mean, if you're watching, dearest, I give you carte blanche to tell people, yes, I'm a professional arguer. Some people think I'm Jewish. Some of my Jewish friends have told me at times, like, where there are two Jews, there are three opinions, because arguing is a sport amongst many Jewish communities. The Jews, that's why they're always up to something. Three opinions amongst two people. What is this? Legionary Aurelius, what's your simple rule between you and your wife? I'm curious. I'd like to know. Inquiring big drum bear mind wants to know. Needs more coffee. I need to brew some. Speak up or shut up. Fair. Huh. You know, my wife and I also have, I think, an appreciation for trying to be communicative. We don't always do it right away, but we try to not let things fester. We try to deal with things right up front, you know, or we also have to recognize that each one of us is responsible for our own emotions. Hey, if I mispronounce your name, I apologize. Charoli. I hope I'm getting that right. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Well, I'm glad for you if you're having some emotional reaction, like, because that's a good thing for people to have. Charlotte. Okay, Charlotte. Wanted to make sure I said it right. Glad you showed up. I'm glad you could come in. How'd you find out about us? I'm always curious how people came to this place. The people that I haven't seen around before. Are you part of the Bears community, or did you find out about the podcast some other way? Verified as bear witness. Ah, very nice. Very cool. Awesome. Well, bear witness. I might have to, since you're verified, and I believe you. I think you're legit. I might have to do something because I love doing this. But remember, this will go on for a limited time only. There will come a day where the wrenches will suddenly dry up. Welcome to Wrench Life. You can speak as you'll speak now. And those of you who have the wrenches, let me reiterate. Use them judiciously. Use them wisely. You must use them wisely. Little Indiana Jones in the and the Last Crusade quote there. Bad BDB? No BDB? Oh, yeah. There will come a time where wrenching shall take place within my stream. The first among you shall be dumb. No, I'm kidding. No, there. No. One day, when this builds up, this is so ridiculous that I say this too. It's so ridiculous that I put this out this way. I tell people that when I get to like 1,000 subs, I'm going to have to reduce the number of wrenches. Like, it can't be everybody's got a wrench all the time. I might need some moderator help, but it will be a small few that I trust, right? But that you think that would like make people not want to help me get to 1,000? It's like, why would we do that? But see, here's the thing. Once we get to 1,000, yes, there would be a decline in subs. But as it grows, I'm going to need more mods, right? So you got to help it keep growing so that you can have that moderator responsibility, right? Then you can, if you really want the wrench, you can have the true responsibility that goes with it. Because now there's no real responsibility with it. Now it's just like I have everybody have a wrench, so nobody can silence anybody. There'll be a time where there probably will be trolls coming by, and I'll need people to do that, right? Because I won't have time. And I don't want the chat to be ruined for everybody because of one or two obnoxious people, you know? So, you know, there will come a time where a wrenching must take place, but not a punitive one, right? It will be one where I choose my helpers. I must choose wisely. Because if I don't, I'll end up like that Donovan guy from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and I'll turn into a skeleton in about 5 seconds. I don't want to freak anybody out on the screen with that, you know. I chose poorly. I like to do the night voice. It's fun. I can't quite get into Barry White range. I'm not quite down there. I'm getting close, but they're even deeper than I ever thought of. And this microphone helps too, because I've got the bass turned up a little bit so we get them lower frequencies. Yeah. Oh yeah, baby bears. Yeah. It's funny. This guy likes killing trolls. People are already campaigning for wrench chip. When I reach 1,000 subs, well, hey, you know, you wanna be the cut above the rest, right? You want that to happen? You know what to do: like, subscribe, share, and comment. And when I say share, I mean every platform known to man. And think up useful ways to share it, inventive ways that attract people to say, "I need to go sub to that channel." Or you can also encourage them to yoink, purchase a love chunk, or you're a commie t-shirt from bonfire.com/love-chunk, or excuse me, don't-c-red-love-chunk. I can never say that right. It's the Big Drum Bear Podcast. You know, the next time I'm doing a shirt, I've got to make sure it says Twitter on there, because it should say Twitter on there. Feel free to tell people that there's Twitter out there for Big Drum Bear. I haven't been using it as much in the last week, but I'm going to get some good tweets this week. I'm going to get a little Twitter crazy. Get a little Twitter crazy and post some worthwhile stuff. Got to get some good content out there. Yeah, I thought it was good to take a little step back over the last week and de-social mediaize myself a little bit. Yes, Dom, I haven't forgotten about you. If you look in the description right now, oh, excuse me, there is a new bear support link, and that bear support link is for Mr. Dom Tuff. Dom Tuff has a series of items, a variety, if you will, a plethora of useful items that might improve your quality of life every day. And they range from mugs to teas to I don't know what else. I haven't looked at it all. But you can go. In fact, I think I pulled up a window with his stuff. Let's take a look and see what Freedom products are available from Dom Tuff. I will pull up the... Where is it? I want to see the screen where I put this thing on now. That's the window that I need. Window capture. Let's see. Tuff products. There we go. And bingo. So, as you see, the Freedom Tuff stuff, it's of great variety. We can get a Freedom Tuff bag, or you can get a Freedom Tuff t-shirt, or you can get another Freedom Tuff t-shirt, or how about another Freedom Tuff t-shirt? There's a few t-shirts in there, Dom. You can get whatever this is. Oh, phone case. That's cool. More Freedom Tuff t-shirts. Are these different in some way? Oh, they're different, like men's, women's, all that. I didn't see it before. Ooh, V-neck. Ooh, it's hot. Women's comfort tee. You can get another phone case and another kids tee. What is this? A sticker? Stickers. You know, I'm going to be doing that next on mine. Is the sticker. A baby onesie. Are you serious? Dude, that's a riot. That's so funny. I think Field of Bears had one too. That's hilarious. Tons of tees in here. That's really cool. Well, the design is simple. He was able to keep the price low. I like that. For me, the chunk t-shirts required being a little more. And I think part of it was because I was trying to hit that minimum. Otherwise, it was like I was going to end up... end up in the red a little bit, which wouldn't have been good. But yeah, it's so funny. Oh, now you guys are looking at yourselves. Well, let me come back to my ugly mug here. It's not as ugly as this mug, which you can get at teespring.com. Also a good one. Honestly, yours, Steve, is going to have to be this little one that I have here. The Field of Bears is going to end up being my travel mug. When I get a Field of Bears mug, it'll be for travel purposes because he has various sizes, right? And then Dom, I think I'm just going to get the baby onesie from Dom. That's, of course, there are other mugs out there. You know, there's some great people like Roy Bear and Tommy Lee Bear that have had mugs. May still have a mug out there, and there's probably even more that I don't even know about. And beyond all of them, there's a guy named Kodiak. Kodiak Bear. Better known to us as Levi, some of us. He's a great dude. Great dude. Makes clips. Go subscribe to his channel. Go check him out. Love the clips. Especially one with me where I a lot and I spiral about flies. There's a good one of those in there. It's about 15 minutes long, you know, and maybe one of these days when he has time, he'll make a shorter version of that so people actually can sit through some of the ums, not all of them, but mostly the spiraling because that's fun. Perhaps you will subscribe to Kodiak on Patreon and become one of his Patreons. Perhaps you will. I was getting there. I was going to do that, Don. Or PayPal him, you know. Either are good. He's a good bear. He's done a lot for this community. We dig him. We're a fan of Kodiak. He's good stuff. So there's a few different ones, Kodiak. Like, I use Bonfire, which is a subsidiary of Teespring. A lot of these guys like Dom and Steve have been using Teespring. Or excuse me, Teespring. I was right. And then Field of Bears is at Redbubble. But then some other people were at Society 6. So there's a whole bunch of different stuff. Absolutely, Kodiak, always. Help BDBT Wrench Dom. I love it. This is so good. Teespring, I've been told it was released. I was trying to set up my T-shirt with Teespring originally, and for some reason it redirected me to Bonfire when I was setting up the campaign. So I don't know what the deal was with that, but I guess they're connected. I don't know why one or the other, but yeah, for some reason I ended up doing it through Bonfire. It was weird because I originally went to Teespring. That's the one I knew about. But in some ways it's great because now I know there's a whole wide range of crowd-funded merch suppliers, and that's cool. Yeah, Andrew J, hook up Kodiak, man. He's the man. Knife Party? What's up with that? I don't know about knife parties. Dom's an interesting cat. Bonfire, yes. It's $10 per week. That's so great. I love it. You can subscribe to Steve Pender via PayPal by paying him $10 a week in order to take away Dom's rent. That's so good. You know, my grandmother wouldn't approve. She'd say you're being very, very mean. It's not right. You should be kind to one another. She'd shake her head at you a little bit, and you deserve it. Oh, my goodness. You know, I'd love to be doing it in this stream. I wish I'd prepared it. My guitar's not even over here right now. But I am working to do a version of a hymn that was one of the favorites of my grandfather. And I'd love to play it for Grandma one of these days. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. You know, I don't want to get too deep on there. I mean, I wanted to share. I just want that's what I do on this stream here, Charlet. There's a lot of talk here about personal stuff, you know, life that I go through, and hopefully it's useful to other people. Hang on. Moomin's saying sub to Witch Bear. He did the ironic cover that Owen played a few. Oh, I missed that. I missed that entirely. Let's see if I can bring that up. Well, not unless I click on it properly. Yeah, Charlotte, we talk about a lot of different things here, and sometimes it gets a little touchy-feely. But yeah, I didn't mean to make you cry. I've made a few people cry before, but that's not what I'm shooting for. I just want to get people to think. Oh, Mike Maloney, yeah, definitely subbed to Mike. I'm already subbed, as I should be, but I didn't see the thing that you're talking about. I'll have to look for that. I'll definitely have to look for that. Yeah, Mike Maloney's a cool dude. He's been up in here before. Good cat. You love it? Well, I'm glad, Charlet. Yeah, just like to encourage people with different things, different stuff to think about. And, you know, crying is not always a bad thing. I've done my share. I don't know. I get nervous sometimes that maybe I'm not, because if I haven't done it in a long while, I get a little concerned that like something's wrong, because I'm a little harder about certain things than I used to be. I've seen a lot of things in life, not as much as some other people, but I have no idea what's going on, Moomin. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, Moomin. That's funny. Pardon me. Sorry, I had a hair on the tongue. That's never a good thing. Too many dogs in the house. Pears everywhere. Yeah, Bear app. Oh, paypal.me/unbearabledevs. Yeah, Bear app is a good thing. Is that you, Kodiak? Did you set that up? Or is that, I thought that was Coder. Andrew J. Gosh, there's so many things going on at the same time. I'm trying to keep up with everybody. So I'm trying to carry on multiple conversations at once. For an ADD person, it's possible, but it's not healthy. Thank you, Blue Sky Bear. Love you too. Glad you came. Glad you're here. Guys, I'm about ready to wrap up here. I've got some things to do today. I got a dog to walk for the beautiful lady, and I got some kids to go visit their grandma. So it's going to be a good time. And their great grandma, actually. and then their grandpa. It's a good thing to do. But as you can see behind me, I still have some setup stuff to do. You know, it's like this needs to be moved over a bit because it shouldn't be directly behind me where you can't see it. That's defeating the point. I love bears. I love hanging out with bears. It's about that time to head. So what I will say is, until next time, engage your mind, engage your body, and engage your heart. Oh, you hear that? There's that music that we love, right? So seek to serve, like my grandmother has always been a servant. Seek to serve the ultimate purpose. She certainly has. She's done a fantastic job of it, and I hope she gets to continue for quite a while. Peace to you. Why are you still here? What do you think? Something's going to happen? You think I'm just here to please you at the end of shows? Like, it's over. I'm done. You're still hanging. I'm not sure why. Well, maybe I've given you reason to think that I might pop back around. Who knows? I guess I have. All right, I guess I will. No, I just brought up the title screen. I need to learn to use OBS one of these days because it's getting ridiculous. Yeah, I'm still here. I didn't leave yet. I really wanted to find a picture of my wonderful grandmother handy, and I have them, but not readily available. And so that's where planning a show comes in. One of these days I'll have to bring that up. But trickery, you're right. Let's see here. So what was I going to say? Oh, I got it. And I just knocked a bunch of stuff over. I'm such a goof, man. But a fun goof. So I have this huge box of pictures that I've kept down here for a while. And I know I have one of my favorite photos in here that I was really eager to share with you bears. But I just couldn't find this box for the life of me. And it was right there the whole time. It was right where it was supposed to be. That's one of the advantages of cleaning your room, right? It's why you should do it, so you can find things more easily. And I need to get this done. I need to just be done looking all the time. Watch me sift through this and it's not even in here. That'd be hilarious. I even do a little Easter egg at the end of the show, and I can't even find the stinking picture. But nonetheless, yeah, you thought I'd get a drum bonus today? I like putting little bonus things into the show. It's fun. And I'm probably going to continue this from time to time. Don't expect it always. You know, I know I've kind of been doing it, so don't feel bad if you have a show where I don't do it. It's like BB unboxing. Yeah, it kind of is. It's like I'm sifting through like, and one of these days I'd love to have a section of that too, because who doesn't like opening up presents and gifts and stuff, right? That's always the best. But I'm going to procure a Grandma Bonnie photo here. Does she want to be doxxed? I don't know, maybe not. Can Grandma Bonnie be doxxed? She's not on any kind of social media platform, so I don't foresee that being an issue. See, and that shows that I'm just totally unprepared, and I should have a picture of my grandma readily available at all times, and I failed. Failure. Well, let that be a lesson to you. You know, that's the takeaway from today's show. Be sure that you're taking the appropriate steps to honor the people in your life that have made a huge impact, because otherwise you're going to be doing a show live on YouTube, and then you can't produce a picture of your grandmother when you say you're going to, and who's going to believe what you say after that? You know, so you can totally damage your reputation. Like, I expect my subscribership is going to be down at about, you know, maybe 5. You know, I mean, Steve's not going anywhere. He's addicted. Dom can't go on without a wrench, you know. And so he's going to do everything he can to make sure that he campaigns for me to stay below 1,000. But yeah, I kind of want this now. All right. You know what? It's probably going on Twitter. That's what's going to happen. Twitter or Instagram or both. And so you'll have to look for it there. That's just the way it's going to have to be done. But yeah, I'm going to have one of her down here too, to keep handy. You know, that's probably going to be a good idea. But at any rate, Bears, you guys are awesome. By the way, any of you who are still hanging around, also put down the steadyintime@gmail.com for people who are interested in music lessons. Ooh, shameless plug. That's what I get to throw into these, right? Here's what I was going to do. Update. So I was going over some more of the details of The Prince last night and trying to lay out just an outline for the first 3 chapters and the introduction, which is mind-blowing. It's coming this week. It's going to happen. Mark my words. And if I don't, then I don't know. Do something to me. Yell at me. Unsub me if you must, right? If you have to, I'll understand. Maybe that'll be an appropriate punishment. And they're like, I'm not subbing back to you until you get that video up. And then you won't get the notification until the video comes up or when it comes up. So then why would you come back? I don't know. We need to be disciplined in our life appropriately if we're going to be people like my fastidious, diligent, tireless grandmother. All right, Bears. I'm going to go actually do something productive. So for real, peace.
I can see